Good morning. It is early o'clock. It is 4:05 a.m. I am in Jerusalem, Israel, getting ready to head to Masada to climb up to the old city and Herod's stronghold, the last stronghold of Judea that was holding out before the Romans that finally collapsed tragically way back when. It's going to be an early morning hike because I got all my people wanting sleep on this trip, and I'm opting instead to head off into adventure. A couple interesting things. I've got this little tattletale thing in the car, which if I come close to a line, it tells me that I'm going to hit a line. If I come close to the other side, it tells me I'm going to hit a line. And if I'm going too fast, it tells me if I'm going too fast. The rental car has got this little satellite tracker in it that tells you if you're coming up behind somebody, how far it is. There's nobody on the road right now, but I'll show you that later. But I'm very much looking forward to this run today. It's not going to be a long one. I'm going to stop in a park afterwards and do another one along a little river. So that's the plan for today. I am excited to do this. We were at the Dead Sea yesterday. We will be there again today. The Dead Sea at Jericho coming up. Sun is coming up and I am approaching, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but that directly in front, that is Masada. We're gonna go up the Snake Trail, which zigzags its way up close to where Herod's palace is, and that's what we're going to go up this morning. Looks like timing is good in terms of light, so looking forward to this very much. Well, ticket bought, objective directly up front. There's a good number of people doing this. There's a hostel here, so I anticipate having company on this trail probably most of the way up. It's likely I'll be passing people, but you never know. A lot of them are from all over the world, as you might imagine. But it's getting a little lighter and a little lighter. I recorded a little video yesterday, put on Instagram over in that direction. Found a wadi trail that went up to a waterfall, dry, but there was a big green pool there, which was beautiful. Maybe I'll throw a picture in there. Snake Path. That's the building where the tram goes in and out. So I've opted to not bring water so I can hold the map. And my phone, in the other hand, I'm looking up. There's a tour group ahead that I can see, and they are like little ants moving up. I have a feeling I'll be seeing a lot of them. And I'll give a little tour of the place once we get up top. It really was an incredible spot. They had 900 people living there during the Judea time. Before that, King Herod pretty much set it up. Wow, look at this. This is actual water. So, a bit of a spring. King Herod set it up as a winter palace, and it was super luxurious. Bathhouses. It had various terraces and gardens, and it also had a swimming pool, tons of food storage, and this dry environment apparently lasted hundreds of years. They had corn and wheat and wine, stuff imported from all over. A particularly long trail. It is pretty rocky. Signs for falling rocks and whatnot. Catching up to the first tour group pretty quickly. That is an anathema to me. Tour groups, not my bag at all. Not my jam. I like to do things independently with my friends and family, or by myself, as the case might be today. So everybody else gets to sleep in, but I'm getting to do this, which makes me very happy indeed. Wow, look at stairs, so civilized. In the midst of it now. Oh my God. It's like the lineup to get up Everest. Little flat section. Barefoot, that's impressive. Past probably 50, 60 people in a group, maybe a few hundred feet from the top, vertical. This is definitely a fun way up. Coming up to the cable car station. Officially about 4 or 5 minutes to sunrise. Should be up there before then. First sign of structures. Actually things built. So this goes back several thousand years. And it's got a ton of history behind it. Fell into disrepair for a few centuries. Has been burned and destroyed a couple times. There's a big plateau at the top of this with a wall that was once around it. And here we are. Big tour group waiting for sunrise. That's the one you. I'm going to find a different spot. I hear a bit of clapping, so I'm assuming we're either about to see the sun or not quite yet, but soon. Pretty sweet, I've got to say. A lot more people than I want, but still. Excuse me.
Okay, look like salt. So like look at somewhere.
The story, there's a movie behind it as well. The Judeans were the last stronghold. There's 1,000 of them up here and 8,000 Roman soldiers who were trying to get up. But this place was really built with little cranes that hung over the edge and pulled stuff up. They quarried their own rock up here. They made this wall probably that went around the entire thing, so it was considered to be somewhat impregnable. So the Romans on the other side of this started to build a huge earthen ramp that went up higher and higher and higher until it was inevitable that they would actually get to the top. And the Judeans decided they did not want to become slaves or have to fight the Romans, but for Judaism, killing yourself is a sin. So they had a pact. All the men drew straws, and they, every 10th one, killed the other 9 after they had killed their women and children. And the person who drew the short straw at the very end, after they'd been whittled down, ended up having to kill himself. So when the Romans finally got up within that same day, there was nothing but carnage, but bodies. And they burned their buildings, but they left their stores, their preserves, their food, because they wanted to demonstrate that they weren't planning to do this because of any necessity. They were doing it out of choice, which supposedly the Romans respected. They found there's a couple water cisterns here that are massive that stored huge quantities of water, and they did find a person and a couple children in there, and that's where the story came from. Apparently, a Roman historian, I believe, named Flavius told the story. So it's a very nice way to start the day, stepping literally into history. So I'm gonna see this sun peek up in a minute or two, and I'm gonna go around and check out some of these sites. Trippy. The Dead Sea down there, by the way. You bob like a cork. We swam in it yesterday. What a trip. I don't generally float, but there, it's floating pretty good. Just gonna go into the bathhouse while everybody's waiting. Oh my God. See, it had a 2-level floor. They could pump hot air through the lower floor. I'm just gonna go in and check out the various mosaics that are supposed to be there. Oh, and here's a bathing pool plastered up. So this was luxury living way back then. You can see some of the frescoes on the wall, painted with wet plaster. Another bath. They had baths of different temperatures, cold and warm. And here is the heated floor that pumped. God, this is big too. Can you imagine 2,000 years ago building this? All the engineering behind it. And also having the sheer wherewithal to get that many resources in place to build a thing like this. Crazy. This is like a whole city here. Crazy. It's awesome. I'm thinking maybe we get sun. Yes! Yes, yes, yes. The Northern Palace, which is this terraced, engineered thing, and this is what we come down onto. There are some old walls straight ahead. You found a nice spot there, people. Before the hordes start moving around, I'm going to try and see as much as I can. And I'm going to bomb down that trail and have a good old time running down and doing some more the next day. This is great. Here is yet another bath. God, it's incredible. It is incredible what they built here. This is like the most Mac Daddy palace ever around there, I bet you. Here's one of the terraces. This is where you'd have your breakfast in the morning. Have people bring you some delicious olive oil and some figs. They had a ton of dates in storage as well. The storage was such that apparently century passed and they found some of the stuff that was stored and they said, still good to eat. So it's impressive. They had enough store for years apparently when they got up here. Oh my God, this is great. incredible to be here. Really, it is. Oh my God. And the conditions. So that right ahead was the camp, most likely where the Romans were, and they sheltered themselves. They built this wall along here, the siege wall, and then this earthen ramp that goes up right here. You can see some people in the sun just kind of working their way across. But this earthen ramp is what they built to breach the defenses of Masada and eventually get up here and turn the place into a completely different type of location. It is crazy to see that history here right now. Wow, this is one of the water cisterns that they carved out and stored water in. Little step down to another bath, but that is a lot of water storage. They had an ingenious way of collecting all the rainwater and storing it. Some of them would use pack animals to bring it up to some of these cisterns. Oh, here's how. This is how the water is gathered. So here's where we just were, that platform out there, and this was the trail we walked along. So it looks like water collected over in those areas, and then they had it run down, drop into these cisterns, where they would then use cart mules to bring it up and store it there, or to fill the swimming pool. You had to be pretty ingenious. Oh, look at this, they even got a little water thing here where you can fill it up and see how it works. So if water rains, the water rains and it collects running down into these different places. I want to see how it comes off the face as well, if it reaches that far. I don't think it does. We will see. I love stuff like that. Oh my God, look at this. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And there's the ramp. It's like an army exercise. Maybe they're bringing stuff up. Carrying something up. Yeah, they had a battering ram that they used on the wall once they got near the top. And the Judeans were throwing stuff down at them. Rocks and probably all kinds of unpleasant things. So there's no great shakes to be a Roman either, getting bombarded by arrows and rocks and slings. And when they finally started pounding the outside of the wall, the Judeans had shored up the wall with earth and rocks on the other side, so it's even more. Oh, what is this? This is the synagogue. "2,000 years ago, people were up here getting their religion on." That is crazy, 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 crazy. What a place, what a place. I just can't imagine. It's just so dry here. Must have been different 2,000 years ago. Imagine 2,000 years ago you live up here and you're looking out this window and you're seeing this white earthen ramp starting to be constructed, and they're just dragging dirt in, and you're thinking, oh, they're getting a little closer and a little closer and a little closer, and you got 8,000 Romans down there trying to get up here. Oh my God. That is human drama at its most intense. Wow. So this is what it looked like. They built this big ramp and they built this siege tower. And this was the battering ram that they were using. And the Judeans were throwing spears and rocks at them. And the battering ram wasn't working because of the earthen reinforcements that they put in. And then eventually they started to throw fire at the wooden reinforcements that they built. And this is the breach in the wall right here. And right there is where the Romans built their tower. And it looks like some sort of army exercise, they're literally carrying bricks up. Oh my God. This is what the place looks like up top. Here's the ramp, the breaching point right here. So I'm going to walk over to the Western Palace, the Southern Water Cistern, and then come back around this way. And then this is what the area looks like. This is the path that we came up. Been around here to here. Going to finish, and then I'm going to run back down the path. Here's the camp. This is one place to get up. This is another place to get up. But to get from here to here, driving an hour and a half. Gate, Byzantine times, 500, 600 years later, this is how they got in. I'm thinking maybe these guys are bringing up water. I got the army with carrying litters with a lot of weight on them. Morning. Bringing water up and stuff?
Sorry?
Bringing water up?
Yes, of course.
Wow. And some packs. That looks intense. That is some suffering on the way up. Good for them. That is quite a hike to make, covered with guns, body armor, full backpack, and then you're carrying a pretty significant load. I like that they've got a woman on the front too. It's not like they just give it to the men to do. Let the woman do some work, prove their strength as well. I think that's awesome. They are going to be happy campers to get up there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like each of them has about a 5-gallon load in addition to everything else. Well, you see how much effort it is to bring up that much water. You can imagine how much effort it is to bring up an entire cistern full. Well done. Well done indeed. Oh my word. This looks like storage. Most likely. That is the mosaic floor still remaining in the Western Palace. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Pretty nice. So this black line you see on the wall everywhere shows what was original, and everything on top of it has been added. So as you're walking around, you can see. Oh my word, look at this, look at this, look at this. There's definitely a few people up here. A few more than I was hoping, but way less than there would be during the day. Baths, water cistern. God, this place was civilized. Herod and a freaking swimming pool. Can you imagine the resources several thousand years ago, well before the Judeans, well before the Byzantines, building a swimming pool? Look at this place and just look around. Can you imagine? You have got to be the Rockefeller of the Middle East and the original kingdoms here to have a swimming pool like that. All these little buildings. That is bonkers. Back then, swimming pool. It was a bathing culture, apparently, in that time. And he lived here something like 100 years BC to about 50 years BC. Not quite right, I'm not recalling perfectly, but that was 2,100 years ago. Wow, looking down you can see several other square structures. Maybe those were for holding livestock or something. And this seems to be the southernmost point where, of course, you had some sort of guest house or little terrace built out. You would just be enjoying the view way back then. Actually, you know what? There is a trail. Look at that. That goes right along through and up there. That looks like a great trail. Exciting section right there. And that looks like a people trail, not an animal trail. Need to do a little bit of research. This is the southern water cistern. This thing goes way down. Good Lord. Wow. And is huge. I think these steps are the original steps down in as well. Wow. 'Cause he's big. Cistern. This is incredible. They built this, plastered over the walls, and then so this thing just goes up and up and up and up and up. You can imagine how much water they would have on hand to fill this thing up. They would last a long time. Enough for a swimming pool. The top of the watchtower. What a place. Hello. This would be quite the bustling city or palace. 2,000 years ago, Herod building this place. And he was, I believe, in Nazareth too, which is a long ways from here. So he'd go back and forth during the winter and summer sometimes. Crazy life. This was something, sort of like a living history visit. And a bit of exercise all at once. I'm gonna bomb down that hill now. Sounds like some people may be taking the tram down at the moment. There is actually water up here too. Look at that. You can fill your bottle. It is refreshing to find a place where they actually let you fill your bottle rather than sell you a bottle. So hats off to you for that one, Masada. And we're heading off. Snake Path Gate. And it is snaking down. Little tiny stair to deal with first. And then back out onto that floodplain. And onto another run this morning. I am experimenting with eating windows of 6 hours a day. So every day I'm only eating between 2 and 8 p.m. to go into more of a state of ketosis. And I'm actually fine with energy because in theory it puts you into a fat burning state. And I'm liking it, actually. It's not too much of a hardship until you got friends going out to do something and you can't do it, or you don't want to waste your time on breakfast because you don't need that. Going downhill is often one of the best exercises for your legs and glutes because there is kind of a pounding that goes on instead of a straining as you go up. So when you do big hills, you think, oh, I'm getting my workout in going up. You go up and up and up, like in Vancouver, you go up the Grouse Grind every day for 3 months. And then the time you decide to go down, your thighs and glutes will be toast for the next couple days. And you realize which part of the workout you're missing out. So it's great going up, enjoying the work and suffering, but going down, it's fun, it's different. Instead of just channeling energy into the hill to try and get up it, crank up it, keep the heart rate up. This is more like a game. Heart rate's down, but it's far more strategic. And running down takes a lot more talent. Hello. Usually you don't have stairs. The other great thing about running downhill is if you're a good technical descender in races, you can make up so much ground rather than always trying to stop yourself by stop every step. You let it flow, and it becomes much easier. Hello. So I would strongly recommend embracing the downhills. I always look forward to them because it breaks things up. Gets a little monotonous even if it's just flat. Up gives you a chance to slow down and work. Down gives you a chance to flow, heart rate recover. A little bit more pounding, but you try and be light, smooth, and fast as you go down. And it becomes much easier. So you're getting a history lesson today and a bit of workout advice. One-stop shop. Making good progress. We will be down super fast, actually. It won't take very long to get down at all. Although I understand you can't do it after 10 in the day. So, breeze downhill. And this is what we get to run into. It is a great way to start the day. It's 7:13. Woke up at 3:30. Took off from Jerusalem in the car. Drove 80-90 minutes in the dark. And then got up here a little before sunrise. So, time from waking up in bed to the top of Masada, a little under 2 hours. Then a little while up there, maybe an hour and 45 minutes. Head down. I'm trying to hit the national park on the Dead Sea for another run on the way back. Opens at 8, so timing is good. So down. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Not very long. Quick to get down. I'm back to the parking spot. Those are the buses. It would be fun to be with a bunch of young people going up there. But I like my independence, so Masada, highly, highly recommend. If you come out to Israel, get up there, go early. You have to go up the snake trail before 9 a.m. Otherwise, it's no go. Hey folks, quick favor to ask. Please do subscribe to my YouTube account. It'll make a difference. I will really appreciate it. Also, I post some good adventures and day-to-day activities that I get up to on my Instagram account, which is at @CarrieWard. And lastly, you can follow some of my training on Strava if you get on Strava. I'll put the data on the frame so you can see where that is. Do that and I'll be much obliged.